Well, now it's President Biden's brother off the stand. James Biden is set to appear before the House Oversight Committee for a transcribed interview next month. James Biden is scheduled to appear on February 21st, exactly 1 week before Hunter Biden's scheduled deposition, which is February 28th. Meanwhile, Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, and House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith calling out the White House for refusing to turn over all drafts of Vice President Biden's 2015 Ukraine speech, where he called for the firing of the Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin, who was investigating Burisma, where his son worked, was making $1 million a year. The lawmaker sending this letter pointing out that they requested the information 5 months ago, saying that the lengthy delay appears to represent an attempt to obstruct justice and this probe. Joining me right now is Wisconsin Congressman Tom Tiffany. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman Tom Tiffany, good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, good morning, Maria.
So what else is the White House sitting on? Tell us why this is problematic for you.
So that is the question. What else is the White House sitting on? What else is the Biden family sitting on? That's been the question now for over a year. And we just seek answers for the American people. And that's why Jim Biden should come in. And it's good to hear that he's going to come in and share information. I mean, really what this does, Maria, is this gives the Biden family an opportunity to be able to clear their names, because this is really fishy stuff when you get these millions of dollars. What is it? Over $20 million that has went through 20 shell companies. You know, how did you get this money when it appears that there was no work done for it?
Yeah, exactly. We don't have any services rendered, so we're trying to understand why the Biden family accepted all these millions from Burisma and Ukraine as well as China. What can you tell us?
Well, I thought in regards to Jim Biden, you know, when you look at that trail of money from the Chinese energy company, there was $400,000 that went to Hunter Biden. He transferred $150,000 to Jim and Sarah Biden. Then Jim and Sarah Biden sent a $40,000 check to Joe Biden. And remember, Hunter commiserated on the laptop about how he had to give 10% to the big guy. That $400,000 that went to Hunter Biden ended up being $40,000 in Joe Biden's checking account. Answers are needed for the American people.
And that would be 10%, which, of course, we have the infamous email, 10% for the big guy, which was apparently Joe's take, according to your colleagues in Judiciary and the Oversight Committee. I want to get your take on this. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and Trump prosecutor Nathan Wade have been subpoenaed to testify in an upcoming misconduct hearing. Willis is accused of having a romantic relationship with Wade and misusing taxpayer dollars. We have the list of trips they took together to the Bahamas and Napa Valley, and she, of course, put him in charge of taking down Donald Trump. Your thoughts?
What is it with these lovebirds, Maria? We saw it with Peter Strzok and Lisa Page in the FBI back in 2016.
Yes, we did.
When they're carrying on their tryst and they're trying to take Donald Trump out. It appears we have the same thing going on in Atlanta. But Nathan Wade has been paid $650,000. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office has received nearly $15 million in federal payments. And you have them working with agencies in Washington, D.C., and possibly the White House. Once again, the American people deserve answers. And I can tell you what I'm going to do, Maria. Yeah. I'm going to urge Chairman Jordan, just like when we went to New York City, just like when we went to Chicago as the Judiciary Committee, it's time to go to Atlanta and get some answers from these people of how they're spending the American taxpayers' money.
Yeah, it's a good point, and we'll certainly follow it. Let's move on to the business in the House. The House passed its $78 billion bipartisan tax cut bill, expanding child tax credit for low-income families, restoring several business tax breaks to boost U.S. manufacturing. Congressman, how did you vote, and where is this going?
Yeah, I voted against the bill. I thought there were some good provisions in regards to, you know, like research and development tax credits, those type of things. But this really, the reason I voted against it, I'm deeply concerned about expanding welfare. And it is the worst thing that we can do. We've got enough help wanted signs around America. We should not be discouraging work.
That's why you voted against it. Todd, jump in.
A lot of people in the Northeast are focused on the SALT provision, but I think it goes beyond the Northeast, Congressman. I think you have people in Florida who pay a lot of money in state and local taxes and would be interested in seeing that number jump from $10,000 to $20,000. Obviously, you just stated you did not vote for this bill, but do you see some relief coming in the SALT provision? I know they said the New York delegation got it tabled for another discussion, but at the end of the day, do you see the SALT cap going up?
There's discussion that's going on in regards to that. I'm personally not supportive of it. I'd have to see a bill that has a lot of good stuff in it to vote for a SALT provision. But I just really have a problem with the bill that we passed last night in expanding welfare, especially allowing illegal immigrants to be able to get that child tax credit. That is not what we should be doing in America. And I know many businesses are going to benefit from the tax cuts that are in there, but they're not going to benefit in terms of the help wanted signs. We're discouraging work, which is the worst thing that we can do to the American people. Work is central to our self-worth, and we did not do the right thing last night in diminishing work.
Tiana, real quick.
Yeah, I just want to ask about this expanded child tax credit. Congressman, according to the Wall Street Journal, the provision for expanding it relies on the prior year's income, which means that even if someone is not working in the current fiscal year, they are still eligible to receive that expanded child tax credit. Why is that? Is that just a handout to the Democrats to allow people to get welfare even if they're not working? Why would it be based on the prior year's income rather than their current employment status?
You know, it really appears that the Wall Street Journal article hit the nail on the head that Senator Wyden got the best of this deal because, as you just stated, you can cite your previous year and then not have to work for, the next year or two. And so it's a disincentive to work. At the end of the day, it is the worst thing we can do. Remember, we had about 3 to 5 million people that left the workforce during COVID, when COVID started, March of 2020.
Yep.
Many of them we have not gotten back into the workforce. And now we're disincentivizing them even more from getting back into the workforce.
That's a great point to make, Congressman. It's good to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.